Hello there, everybody. For this stream, we're going to be diving into the competitive scene and give you a look behind the curtain, if you will, into what the competitive teams do to prepare for the matches, right? I received a lot of questions and comments about the competitive scene, so I'm going to be doing a little series here to talk about it and kind of give everybody an idea about how it works and everything, okay? So without further ado, let's go on and get started. And if you don't know me, I am Smithers. I play for Helios, and I've commanded a whole bunch of matches, right? So I've been playing the competitive scene for about 3 years now with all the new players and everything, and especially those that are really, really good, right, or who really want to get good at the game. They probably will get bored with the public matches after a little while, want to step up their game, and they will want to join a competitive team and see what it's like. Today, we had the HCA Finals, which was between WTH and ESBT, and it was a great game. We had 4 caps over midpoint, and that's the kind of excitement you live for in games like these. It just makes all that practice worth it, right, buddy? Okay, so without further ado, let's go ahead and dive in. First, we're going to talk about Stratsket, okay? Stratsket. So this website here, Stratsket.com, this is a Bible, if you will, or maybe not a Bible, but a very, very key piece of all competitive teams in Hell Let Loose, at least the ones that I know of. But I'm going to talk about this and how teams use it, okay? And so let's go ahead and dive in, shall we? So first you'll want to create an account on here. Now I'm not going to walk through that process. It's pretty straightforward, right? So go ahead and create an account on Stratsket.com. And then on their homepage, they have Hell Let Loose right here, buddy, right here on the front page. We're going to go ahead and click on that. And once we click on that, we're going to go ahead and choose a map, right? So we're going to pick one that everybody knows. Everybody knows. We'll go with Carentan, right? So then once you click on Create Briefing, it's going to pop open this brand new window, right? So on this window here, it's going to give you an outlay of the map, right? So we have all the different points here, and the circles around the points mean like the hard cap is, right? So remember, when you're in the circle on the point, that means that you count as 3 bodies if you're infantry instead of 1, right? And so that way, when you're planning various things, you can put that into your planning, right? But as you see here, we have all the grid squares. It gives you a nice outline on the top right there. And then on the left-hand side, it gives you the numbers. And then for each one of the points, it lists all the way across on the top what they are, middle, and the bottom, of course. And then just gives you all the little detail of the map, right? So when you're looking in Hell Let Loose at the map, this is what you see, right? Now, of course, I won't be able to probably cover everything in one video, but this will give you a good dive in to see, what goes on and maybe how you can want to experiment with it, right, for your teams. So this is all in this right here. But if we go to, let me show you a few examples of what can be done. So this is an example of Helios versus 82 AD. So 82 AD is a team out of the UK. And so you can make designs like this to say, hey, this is where this group should go if you want to designate a certain group to be in the red team or red group or red tent or whatever it may be. You have this team down here or this group down here, this group over here, and then kind of make notes throughout the map. Then we have this example here where we have all the different, a legend over here on the left-hand side, which you can create. So you have northwest, mid, southeast, logistics, so you can name your groups however you want, right? And then armor, of course, where they're going to be. And then you can dive into the map and kind of label this all out. You can get as detailed as you can, detailed as possibly your mind can be, right? So you can really just go all out on these strat sketches. And but this helps your team realize, hey, this is our objective, this is where we should go, and they can have this open on their second monitor essentially during the game, right? So if we go over here to another example, so this was the line versus omens. This is another example here where we have these little markers here to. And most of the time, those markers are going to be outposts, right? So this is where you're going to put your OPs. And then this symbol here is used for garrisons. So, hey, this is where you want to put a garrison, right? And you could change the color of the markers, right? So hey, this is a defensive garrison, this is an offensive garrison, or however it may be, right? And you can have little text boxes like this, say, hey, flex anchors church and reflanks from mid and southeast. If cap is guaranteed, they push the enemy fourth, right? And so you can draw arrows like this to say, hey, you should go here, you should go over here. and then lay out the garrisons in the background, all this kind of good stuff, right? So you can make this, once again, as detailed as you want, and just to give your team the best advantages possible for the game. So without further ado, let's go and dive in, shall we? Let's go back to the untitled briefing here. So we're going to call this, we'll double click up here in the top left right here. We'll call this example sketch by Smithers. Okay. So this is Town Center. Let's imagine for a second that we are facing a team that's going to be, we're expecting the mid-cap to be Town Center, right? So it's predetermined, say, hey, we're going to fight over Town Center or whatever, right? So we can go ahead and create a Stratsket here to follow suit, right? So we have Town Center, so we're going to go up here and we're going to just say, usually the first thing, part of a Stratsket will be the truck routes and stuff like that. And all those assignments and stuff, you can usually create a Google Doc, right? At least I think that's what most teams do, because it's free, it's easy, everybody knows Google Docs pretty much, or Google Spreadsheets, or Google Sheets, I should say. And you could kind of manipulate that. So an example of a roster will look like this right here. So this is a Helios match roster from back in the day, and this is where we list out in a 35 versus 35 match what the layout looks like, right? And so in the 35 versus 35, you're going to be a little bit more scrunched, because remember the max on the server is 49, or you can have 50 players, but usually on one side, each side is a streamer. So you're going to see 49 versus 49. But usually in a Google Sheet, you know, in every team, you're going to have some spreadsheet guru, right? It's going to be really liking this stuff. So you could put together a spreadsheet like this on Google Sheets, and you can label the West Infantry, Center Infantry, East Infantry. You can call them whatever groups you want, right? And you can assign the players underneath these different types of groups, right? And then you have box for commander. So you see here in this game, I was the commander. We have artillery, whammo. So whammo's like that guy who goes around the far flanks and tries to set up a flanking Gary, that sort of thing. Kind of like we saw today in the match in the finals, how the WTH player had a nice whammo Gary that got them the point back, right? We have recon, we have armor, crews down here, defense main, defense proximity, so the defense groups down here, and then reserves, of course. So most of the time when you sign up, have matches you sign up for, then you're going to have more than that can actually play the game. And that way you have reserves, essentially. So you create a little box for reserves, and they can go there and just be ready in case somebody drops out before the game starts, whoever's over here, right? So this is kind of what a roster looks like, right? And in this case, this is how in the map, right? So we have these colors up here. So white, red, and then bluish right there, and then purple down there. And so when they look at the map, they know, hey, this is our color. This is where we're supposed to be going, right? Now, all teams have their own little designs and own names and everything. So there's a whole variety to this. And so I'm not saying this is the only design, right? You can make your own colors and names for whatever, right? But this is just to give you an idea of how this looks like, right? And so on the left-hand side, usually on Discord, you set up like a sign-up list. So you say you start an event, and whoever accepts, and then you put them into this list here, right? And then you just fill it up throughout the week. And then when it comes time to roster, a certain number of players will decide who should be where, right? And wham, bam, shabammo, there we go, okay? But yeah, so this is what a roster looks like. We have the opponents, the map, the side, and then the time and date, right? And then, yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. But if you have any questions about the roster and what this kind of looks like, or just something you're curious about, go ahead and comment below, and I'll be happy to help you out. Okay. So yeah, first step, get a roster going, right? And then you can work on the Stratsket while that is being populated by whoever's able to attend. Okay. But yeah, so on the Stratsket, let's go ahead and pretend here, let's start the truck routes, right? So you can go ahead and create multiple slides for truck routes. So we'll call this truck routes here. So we can go and click on this on the right-hand side. When we click on rename, we'll just call this truck routes. Okay. Because usually drivers want to have their own slide to say, hey, where should we be going, right? Because most of the time, well, I shouldn't say most of the time, but a lot of maps, you're going to have truck snipes, right? And so what happens with that is that there are routes that are known throughout the competitive world where you will get sniped by either enemy tank or rockets or something like that, right? So you want to avoid those routes and make your routes a little bit different. Okay, so let's go ahead and draw something here. So let's go ahead and up to the squiggly line, and let's just go ahead with the line type dash, Okay, we'll make the size a little bit bigger. Nothing wrong with a little bit bigger size. Okay, so let's go up here. Let's say the top truck, right? So the top truck, whoever's spawning here, they're going to go down here through the field, go across. And once again, we're going to town center. So a town center, you will want to try and control the northern part or the church area, right? So let's say that's northern truck. And then, of course, we can add a text box. So you can click on text box. You can click on up here for font size. You could say defense or church truck. We'll call this North Squad and Defense 1. We'll just say that, for example. Okay, so we can add a little text box there. We could put it over to the side, and wham, bam, shabamo, there we go. We have, okay, hey, church truck, whoever's in the church truck, and then North Squad and Defense 1, they should be spawning up top, right? So they will build their nodes first, and at least in competitive team, right? And then over here, we drew a little line here to say, hey, this is the route that we expect the truck to go, okay? Now, I'm not going to do a full strat sketch. I mean, this is just to give you an idea, or else we will be here for a couple hours. But we drew a line here to say, hey, this is where the church truck could go. Okay, so now when they get to the church, what are they doing, right? Or when they get towards there, what are they doing? So let's say we need to put down some OPs, right? So we can go ahead and get this here, and we're going to change this color maybe, just to make it a little bit easier, so we can grab the eyedropper here for the colors, and so we can put it over just something black, right? So there we go. We put it over here in the open area. We call it for the black color. So we go over here and we say, hey, we want you to put up your OP. We'll want to put one up here, maybe, right? So we'll put one up there, and then we'll want to put up one up here. Now, once again, this is all theoretical. Don't trash me in the comments for crappy OP placement. But we're putting an OP up here up north, and then, or maybe we'll move it over here into this complex and one over here, so stagnate a little bit. And then we can go ahead and put down a Gary symbol. So I'm going to use the Gary symbol of, where's this guy? Where's this guy? This guy is not visible to me right now for some reason. I'm just going to use this guy. Oh, whoops. Oh yeah, you got to be careful with the buttons. So undo that, and then we're going to unselect off of that and go here, and we're going to go check this one, and we're going to go here, and that will be the garrison, right? So that'll be our Gary symbol. So hey, these guys are responsible for setting up that Gary, and you got to put 2 OPs over here, right? Okay, so they put their OPs down, and then the Gary they have to set up right there, and then just for the hell of it, we're going to have the commander Garys. So we'll give the commander the color of the roads here. Just try to find, zoom in. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we'll give the commander the color of the roads. See, I keep forgetting it changes the color. I got to select off of it, click down, and then go over here and then put them down. Okay, so here we'll give the commander to say, hey, we'll put up a Gary. Come on. There we go. Okay, so let me go ahead and click on the erase. Good thing I'm messing up, actually. It's giving me a refresher. But we can put the commander Gary here, and then we can go here and say, hey, the commander needs to build this Gary right there, okay? And then maybe after that, a third one down here, just as like a wide reflank if we need it, okay? So the commander will put up these 3 Garys, and this squad is responsible for this Gary up there, and then these 2 OPs right there, okay? And then, of course, there are going to be tons of other squads and da-da-da-da, right? So all this will be filled in. But the point is that you just want to start laying this out. Okay, so then next, so if we look at these other strat sketches, right, let's go to a more detailed one. So here we have all these different OPs being set up, right? And then the little box right there. So the little box is often used for the commander supply drop. So you could say, hey, commander, for your opening supply drop, which is available at the 1 minute before wall drop marker, we want you to put that right over, let's say, down here. So you may want the supply drop over there in that little closed off area, right? Because that way the enemy can't get to it, and it'll be available to the surrounding area to put up a Gary, right? Or you may say, hey, we need the supply drop for the opening Gary right there, right? So you could plop the little symbol right there. And of course, there's all these different symbols here you can use for whatever you need to, right? I think another common one is artillery or mines, right? So if you need certain mines on a road off the opening, we can change our color here. We're going to go ahead and do this guy. And we're going to say, hey, off the opening, let's get some mines on this road for whatever, right? Now, obviously, it's a little big, but that's okay. But we need mines up on this road, right? Okay, so let's go look what else we have in the Stratsket up here. So once again, text boxes and the legend. So as you can see over here, you could create the legend with the different colors using those symbols, right? So we can go ahead and click on the circles up here, and we could start by putting them up there, right? And then we can go ahead and add the eyedropper like this, and then say, well, what do we want for that, right? And we could plop another one right there. And just like that, you could start building your own legend, like was done there, with some text boxes on the right-hand side. Oop. Text box 1, right? And you can go and do that. And then once you got all this layout done, you don't want to have to worry about duplicating all that, right? So I know this was called originally truck routes, but now I'm doing everything on here, right? But you can go ahead and right-click on it, and you click on duplicate. So beautiful thing right there. And that way, once you build a legend for one slide, you can just duplicate it for all the slides, right? And that way you could just tweak what you need to tweak without having to redo the freaking legend every time, right? And then if you right-click again, you can delete, you can rename, you can even change the map if you need to. Now, usually teams separate out maps in different Stratskeches, right? You don't really put the same map in a same Stratsket, but if you wanted to keep the legend and stuff like that, that could help. But yeah, so then if we just go ahead and duplicate this a bunch of times, I'll just show you real quick. And it's really easy to move out, right? So you can just drag this up here if you need to reorder the slides, just like that, right? And then when you can just organize it how you need to. And you have various other symbols and stuff up here. So the lines, remember, you could change with the thickness. So you can adjust the girth how you need to. So you can do this here. You can draw a fat line like that, right? And we can go ahead and delete this. Okay, so you can just hit that erase, and you can just do that. Or you can hit the undo button. And then you have a whole bunch of symbols underneath here like we just went through. And we have this button here, so the ping. So when you're reviewing the Stratsket with your team, don't be afraid to click on the ping and just walk through like this, right? So that way you could say, all right, guys, we're supposed to be attacking the church. We have to hold church here. And then to the south, we have to make sure we at least hold them back into this area right here, right? We don't need to worry about pushing up to here because this will be, we just won't be able to because their armor will be facing down this road. However, in the middle here, this is where artillery will be falling off. And that's your example, right? So use this ping all around, right? And so you can even hold down your left mouse button just like this and do that, right? And then, of course, you can create other slides to say, hey, so these are the truck route slide examples, right, for Foy. And then MG, so you can list out all the different MG spots as well. So there's another example. So, hey, MGs, this is where you should be, right? Here are some various spots. And MGs, when they're looking at when they're in the game, right, they have the monitor open on the second screen, and they just, oh, this is where I should be. And I just head up to there, right, versus guessing where they need to be. Very, very key. Alrighty. And then as you can see here, there's all these different scenarios that you could plan for the different layouts and the recapture points and stuff, right? So you just all these different layouts you can go through. And you can get as detailed, once again, as you want for this. Openers, I'm trying to think if there's anything else on openers. I don't really think so. It's pretty basic. Call-out sheets, so teams have various call-out sheets to what they want places called, right? And so you can just name these certain buildings like, hey, we need to attack Village. Hey, we need to attack Zigzag. There's Dan's house right there. There's Spotlight, right? There's this house up there. So those kinds of things where you can call out and just to help the team remember where they should be attacking. Let's go back to Helios for 82 AD. This is probably more of the most simple strat sketches. This is one that I built way back in the day. And this is where you could just lay out all this kind of stuff, right? And just, this is where we use colors mainly and no real, much more detail, but just saying, hey, and when you're going through this in the review, you would say something like, all right, guys, for a hospice to harass, I'm going to grab this ping here. And we need to have pizza slice control, of course, after we cap. We have to make sure we clear them out of there. Make sure the strong point defense will be responsible for the strong point, clearing out that. And then the defense will be probing or keeping an eye on the back line here. All this is open field, so we really don't need to worry too much about that, but just watch for the pings on these Garys back here, right? And then for church, we'll have a garrison down at church. We'll have a garrison down here south of hospice, and then a garrison up here north of hospice, right? And then we have progression over here to the west, where we'll have a box. This is where blue squad will be playing, right? And then they will secure down here western approach, and they will eventually wrap around up here. If we need to, we will attempt a wild card Jeep out of bounds sprint up here to the north, where you can make it in 30 seconds because the Jeep is super quick. And you can go up and about and go around and just like this, right? These are potential whammo Gary. So in the back line, we can potentially get here, right? And flank around and get some progression with that. Here's where our Logi player or the whammo player could be playing as well. So we could have the guy go all the way around here, all the way up to the top and just sneak around, right? But yeah, so it's just an example of like how you want to go through this. And then or we have open field up here. So I just make sure to remind everybody, hey, this is all open field, right? So we should be able to hold this with a couple bodies and not have to worry too much about it, okay? But pizza slice control is big. Tents are not to prioritize pushing through the open field. Keep 1 or 2 back to hold the open field ground while the rest push flank, right? So once again, this is a very simplified version. Or you can go super complicated like this, right? And build something like that, right? Or a TL versus home is another one, right? Where you have a bunch of detail and everything and all this kind of stuff. Okay, so let's not go on too much longer, shall we? We have the attack marker up here, so you can just draw, or well, you can adjust the attack marker. This is just like a circle area, right? So you can adjust this with the size like this, right? Just to add emphasis or add like to a certain area, right? You could change the dashes, the dotted, that sort of thing. And then, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. There's boxes, of course, so you can draw a box like this. You could you can drag a straight line like that, right? So you just left click and then left click, and then you create little custom boxes like this. Let me just get out of this actually, okay? But you can create custom boxes with this. So by just left clicking and then just connecting them all, and then there you go, wham, bam, shabamo. All right, so then we have just straight lines, so you can adjust the line with arrows and dots, right? But that's pretty much it. It's a good crash course on Stratsket and how competitive teams sort of use this, right? So if you have any questions in the comments about this, feel free to let me know, and I'll happy to answer you. But this is a key tool for all competitive teams to really lay out the strategy for the match they have ahead of them and how they should approach it, right? So, okay. All right. Thanks for joining, everybody. And once again, if I forgot anything, let me know. Happy to answer your questions. But I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good one.